Please welcome to the stage Dr. Richard Nielson, his lovely wife and co-founder of World of Difference, Jody Nielson, Cameron Martin, president of Rocky Mountain University, presenting the award to Dr. Nielson this evening, Governor Gary Herbert and Curtis Blair.
As you just observed in the highlight video, the reasons we honor Dr. Richard P. Nielson are extensive. To some, Dr. Nielson is known as Rick, to others, Ranger. No matter what name you are to him, unitedly, as family and friends, we honor you, Dr. Nielson, Rick, or Ranger, tonight as one of the Utah Valley's greatest pillars of business, education, and community. We love you, and we say thank you to you for following your mother's advice to find a way to do the right thing even when others said it could not be done. Now, we know that you will be the first to acknowledge and thank others who played a part in bringing your dreams to fruition. And that is appropriate. They are deserving praise too. However, the reality is because you first had the dream and the tenacity to act, the impossible became possible as you shared your dreams with others who then helped you bring them to fruition. Because of your efforts, grit, and secret weapon, Jody, we have 2 thriving universities in Provo, producing highly trained healthcare professionals who carry on your legacy of service and care through their educated minds, skillfully trained hands, and loving hearts. We thank you and Jody. We love you both and are grateful for how you have blessed the lives of so many here in our community and around the world. Tonight, we acknowledge in sincere appreciation all the good you have done and will yet do. Truly, our community and world are better places to live, learn, work, and play because you and Jody are willing to listen and act. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Utah Valley Chamber of Commerce and the business community it supports, it is my honor to present to you my dear friend, who I call brother, Dr. Richard P. Nielson, the 2023 Pillar of the Valley Award recipient.
Before we hear from the good doctor, we would like to hear from Jody.
I know you really want to hear from him, but he insisted that I take just a minute. And I felt like it was appropriate to just share a couple of thoughts about this amazing man and the journey that we've been on. Just like the expression that it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a community to raise up a pillar. And we feel really privileged to have so many people that have been on the journey with us to be at this place. And for him to be a recipient of this honor and to be in the company of so many other astounding people like Colonel Halverson. Not all of us end up finding ourselves in the limelight or in the spotlight. I know I'm mostly comfortable in the back row, but this is actually a really great vantage point to be able to see the faces of people that we love and that have been so important to us. But the thought that I had is that we all have a part to play. And when I think about this man and the service that he has given and where he comes from his heart, how he gives, how he contributes, how he's driven not by accolades, not by recognition of any kind, but from a deep desire to just better humanity. We all have an opportunity to be a part of that. And it doesn't matter where we're at in our community, in our home, our family, what our role is, we all have a role to play, to be a support, to be a strength, and to lift those around us. And I'm grateful to be a companion to a man who reminds me of that every day, because it's who he is at his core. And feel very honored and humbled to be here with so many remarkable people that have been a part of this journey, and express gratitude for this recognition for him, of which he's very deserving. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jody. I really want to start by acknowledging her. She is the pillar in my life, not just in the valley. She is the pillar of my life. Because of her, a lot of things have happened at the university and the medical school. And I really give credit for anything that happens in my life. I give credit to her. And I also give credit, as is mentioned in the video, to my mother. I was blessed with an awesome mother. She had a 9th grade education at that time, but she had a PhD in wisdom. She taught me some things that were absolutely incredible, that really helped prepare me. But before I mention anything about that, I really wanted to also acknowledge Colonel Halverson and his family. What an awesome man he was. And if you're not familiar with his life, he's from this area, and he has done an incredible number of things in this world to make the world a better place. I had the privilege in 2015 to be able to have him as one of my patients. And I only spend, in my particular specialty, I only spend about an hour with my patients. And I saw him on my schedule, and it's like, wow. I mean, he's like here in my waiting room. And I felt so honored to be able to have him be in my clinic and actually in my presence and be able to help him with his particular problem for an hour. At the end of that, I just said, Colonel, we share a lot in common. We are brothers in the military. Even though I know that the Air Force is not truly the armed forces. Okay, let's stop. As a Navy man, I respect all armed forces, truly. Army, I was able to wear an Air Force uniform, an Army uniform, a Navy uniform. I was stationed with the Marines for several years. I have a respect for the military. And Colonel Halverson, particularly, because of all that he has done. So before he left my clinic, I just said, do you mind if we take a photo? And that photo is in your program on the very first cover there. That's the two of us in 2015, giving a thumbs up because of what we did as brothers in the military. So I really want to give a round of applause to his family and to him for all that he did, all the ways that he set the stage for amazing things to happen that have come forth. So would you please join me in doing that? Now, I stand before you very humble today. I'm very honored for this recognition. And for those of you who know me, Jody and I really try to stay under the radar in all that we do. And whether it's in Rocky Mountain, in higher ed, in the work we've been doing for years over in Africa, we feel very much like a fish out of water in this particular situation right now, because you don't do things for recognition, you don't do things for honor or for an award. You just kind of do it. Jody and I, all through our married life, have had a mantra, and everyone who knows me at Rocky Mountain University hears this all the time, because it has become kind of a theme for the two of us, and that is you don't have to go out of your way to serve somebody. You just simply do it on your way. And if you look in your own lives and you figure out how many people can I serve on my way? And it doesn't have to be you have to go over to somebody and sit in their living room for 3 hours. It could be a text message that you send them because you saw them and sensed that they had heaviness in their heart. And so you sent them a text and said, I just want to let you know I love you today. How many of us take the opportunity to do that? Service is so easy to do these days electronically, whether it be an email, whether it be a phone call, a text, whether it be just an impression you have driving home from work that maybe you need to swing by and see that widow or see that person that you know might be suffering from health or other types of challenges. So I would encourage us to take a look at that as an opportunity for you to be able to expand your influence, be able to elevate people that you know in your circle of influence that are in need of a helping hand, whatever that case may be. I'm going to share with you a story real fast, and I had no intentions of doing this. Whoever's running the teleprompter is saying, when are you going to start your talk? Because I haven't even started, and I'm not going to go that route. But as I look at the people who Jody mentioned, who truly, we worked in Africa now for 35 years, and it truly does take a village. It's not something that just anybody can do. It's not something I can do. It's not something that Jody can do. It has to be a village that does the work that we do there. And bless, hopefully, not only the people that we serve, but more than that, the greatest beneficiary of that service is us. Without question, we come home changed. Many of you are in this audience tonight and have gone to Africa with us, and you know what I'm talking about. You are never the same when you come home because you step into a realm of service where you give of yourself independent of everything else. And you truly learn to understand what it means to live outside of yourself. And it's just something you can do on your way. I'm asked all the time about, why are you going to Africa to serve people? There are people in this country who need help, and there are. And there are people in this country who need help that have help through government programs or family or other people. These are people who have nothing. These are people that I will ask you, how many of you have done this thing in the last week? Turned on a water spigot, flushed the toilet. How many of you have gone to your closet, to look in your closet to see what you're going to wear today? How many of you have gone to your refrigerators to say, I want food on demand today? How many of you had ridden in a car? How many of you have slept in a bed? And in most cases, the people we work with in Africa, unless there's some intervention there, they do nothing. They'll never do any of that in their entire life. People who don't have access to power or electricity or running water. And I always say you don't have to go around the world like we do. We just got back a couple weeks ago, 26,000 miles we traveled. You don't have to go around the world, and you don't have to go across the oceans to find somebody to serve. You can go around the corner in your neighborhood or across the back fence and find plenty of people to be able to serve on your way. So my challenge to you is look within yourselves and figure out how I can influence and elevate a human being that you love. Maybe one that you don't know yet, but maybe one that will be benefited from your attention and your presence. And it all comes up from the very first time you get up in the morning and you say, who can I influence today? And I promise you, if you ask that question in sincerity, you will receive an answer. there is a higher power behind service. And you will receive an answer as to who it is that you should impact today. I give credit for everything I've done to a number of people. And I won't go through the whole list because the list is too long. But I particularly want to recognize a couple of very, very dear friends and colleagues, Dr. Larry Hall. Larry Hall is the co-founder of Rocky Mountain University. And if you know Larry Hall, you know that he keeps things happening. And one thing that Larry taught me, besides of the importance of getting up early every morning, and he and I have a very unique relationship because when he was with the university, we held all of our meetings, Larry, between 1 and 3 o'clock in the morning. And that's just the way it is. But the other thing Larry taught me was about the importance of humor in the workplace, about having fun while we're working, because we're serving people, and serving people is fun. And I wouldn't ever want to not recognize my dear partner of 42 years. We've served together for a combined almost 50 years in the military, not together, but Mike Scourgia, Dr. Mike Scourgia, who I met at my second duty station in the United States Navy Medical Department, Medical Service Corps, where we were at Camp Pendleton, California. And Mike was very much of an inspiration. He was my boss. And he and I have had an incredible journey together for 42 years. We haven't really fought much, but we've had many disagreements. But together, we have created some awesome things that I'm just very, very proud of my association with those two gentlemen who really stepped up to make these two institutions, Rocky Mountain University, the Nordic College of Osteopathic Medicine, possible. So I'd like you to give them a round of applause. And before I sit down, I leave with you a question. Actually, I want to share with you a very quick experience. What impact can you have by able to reach out and help somebody that you didn't even know was in need of help? I want you to meet Zachary. Zachary is a 10-year-old that lives in Africa. We were building a primary school that day. And when you build schools in Africa, you mix cement on the ground, okay? When you're in Rome, you just do as Romans do, right? When you're Africa, you do as Africans do. And they do not mix cement in a cement mixer or in a wheelbarrow. It's on the ground. It's hard work. Zachary was there for 2 days working his guts out, mixing cement, 10 years old. After a couple of days, and I realized he didn't belong to anybody in the community there as we're building this school, I went over and knelt down in that cement pit. And I said, "Young man, who are you?" And he said, "My name is Zachary." I said, "Where do you come from? Are you part of this village?" And he said, "No. I'm an orphan." I said, "Where do you live?" And he said, "Nowhere." It's like, "Why are you here?" "Because you need my help, don't you?" He showed up. I was dumbstruck, if you will, by his dedication, commitment, working without anything. He hadn't eaten. When's the last time you ate, Zachary? Several days ago. Then I asked him this question. Why are you so committed to seeing this school happen when you don't even live here? And he said, "Because I feel like I needed to help." I took him over behind a van, and I knelt down. I kind of shielded him from, there were about 10 kids that were sitting around the cement pit, throwing rocks in the cement pit. I took him behind the van, knelt down with him, and I reached into my cargo pants and I pulled out a peanut butter and jelly sandwich that was in there. And I handed that to him and I said, Zachary, I want to give this sandwich to you. He looked up at me. I'll never forget his eyes. He looked up at me and he put it in his pocket. He grabbed his shovel. He walked down into the cement pit. He threw his shovel down, and he walked over where those boys were sitting around that cement pit. And he took that sandwich, and he pulled off pieces of the sandwich and gave it to each of the boys. He left himself nothing. And he grabbed the shovel and continued to work. So I leave that story with you with a challenge. Think about ways that you can be a Zachary in the lives of those people that you know or don't know. He didn't know any of those boys. The impact that must have had on those boys for their future, we'll never know. Or even on Zachary for his selflessness. So thank you for tolerating that. I challenge you to do what you can to be able to lift and elevate, build and heal this wonderful world that we live in. Thank you. Onward.